Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our CRM conversation. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd of 2022. A special date, a special occasion, and a special CRM conversation. Today we have two guests, and I'm very grateful that we have Petra Janner from Salesforce and Joachim Schreiner from Salesforce. Petra, I'm overwhelmed that you could make it possible, as same with Joachim, and we are very happy to have you here. As I'm always curious to learn about the role in the organization and life, I would love to have a short introduction from you, Petra, starting there and then going over to Joachim about what you did do in your business life, some on the stations you have, let's say, in the live scene, and what is your role in Salesforce right now?
Yeah. Thank you, Ralph, and thank you, everybody, for having the opportunity to be here today with you. I'm Petra. I am now 25 years in the IT or technology space, right? I have worked the last almost 6 years at Salesforce. It's a long time already. It feels though it was yesterday when I joined. So time is really flying in this company. So I'm actually in charge of Salesforce in Switzerland. And that's, of course, coming a little bit back to my roots, because you may have noticed, Ralph, that I have worked already and lived in Switzerland some time ago. So it feels like I'm rounded in circles. I'm somehow coming home, even though my home is not necessarily Switzerland, as I'm German, but nevertheless, it feels like coming home a bit. And I'm extremely happy to lead the Swiss team, who is very successful at Salesforce, and to serve our customers in the market.
That's cool. And some other stations we have met before. Yes. So you are a known personality in the CRM business, starting where the first time we met at Pivotal.
Yes, that's a time ago. Yes.
Yeah, well, I was.
We get older. We get older.
Wiser.
Yes. And smarter, as we learn from each station to station, and well, hopefully we do not do mistakes again a second time. And so you have been also with Unique. We had a station and some working together at a security company, and the before Switzerland appearance was with a player which is quite well known.
Yes. Microsoft, okay. Yes.
Yeah, yes. Danke.
Those guys.
Yeah, I have worked there 7 years, yes. 7.5 years overall, yeah. So it was quite some time. So that was right before Salesforce. And Look, I think what is interesting is, I have to admit, when Joachim at the time asked me to, introduce me to Salesforce, right? I couldn't imagine what innovative companies exist, right? And I have to admit, I was really, I feel privileged to have had the chance to join such an innovative company like Salesforce. And to be honest, when I joined Salesforce was, I think, 16,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Joachim has even different numbers he can talk to, but even and 16,000, and now we are about 70,000, right? So look at this, and almost 5.5 years, right? So a massive growth, and it's fabulous to see how important CRM became over the last years, right? I would say the pandemic has helped, I think, to really put CRM at the forefront of all organizations, because everyone needs to embrace how we interact and how we work with customers in a different way, especially as part of the pandemic. And I think that was clearly something very exciting to be part of.
Yeah. And I find it very compelling and a bit thrilling, as I remember very much the moment when we met on CeBIT on that evening party for Salesforce, and we had the checkup for the security check, and my bag was very carefully checked, and you and your husband were a long time on inside when they were still fiddling around with my gadgets, and you gave me the impression that
Why
you
do
were
you carry so many bombs with you?
yeah, well, I look dangerous. Yeah? So the guy was not trusting the friendly look. No, I had a backpack with me, and there was a lot of let's say compartments which had to be checked. No, the point was that your description of that you are very curious and very fascinated in joining that company after having the experience with Microsoft, and that you were from very positively driven curiosity in your first role at digital innovation transformation, which was your first
Yes.
role. And what was the next role you took up
Look,
after?
I started there, and then I did lead the commercial business in the DACH region, or Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, which was a good business. And Joachim and I were partners in crime at that time. And I think it was a business we both have managed well, right, Joachim? I think we did grow it really well. And then I was asked to, actually, I was promoted to do the same on an EMEA level, which I have to admit I really enjoyed. The commercial business was, I would say, at the heart of Salesforce, right? I mean, I have learned one thing about Salesforce. Salesforce is for everybody, right? It was a very democratized system. So every smaller company, mid-sized company can use our solutions, as well as, of course, the large enterprises, right? And that's absolutely important to call out. And I was really excited to take over the European role at this time to lead what we call the commercial business. And after that, because of some adjustments on the way we go to market, I was asked to lead the EMEA emerging markets, which was everything around Africa, Middle East, Israel, Eastern Europe. Sorry?
Chaka, back
Chaka.
to your Israeli connection, such as
Yes, exactly.
you had their dedicated experience.
Yes, and I have to admit, I really enjoyed that time. And it was great because we had to, let's say, decide on where we are growing. And it's always a question of choice, right? Where to prioritize. And then with some adjustments on our European go-to-market, I finally ended up in Central Europe and, leading Eastern Europe and Switzerland. And that's how we got together today. So back in Central Europe again. So again, home. So I started there and now I'm heading back home.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that with us, Petra. And as Salesforce is very special and is like a magnet to catch people which are special. You have something which is, from my feeling, very unique. That is that you can follow a project of your heart where you invest time, and the company is giving you the freedom to make a choice and to invest 7 days in a year, when I'm not mistaken.
I have to admit, it's actually one of the biggest things I have discovered at Salesforce. It's not a company talking about values, but also living the values, right? And at depth. And I think from my perspective, I'm sure Joachim will talk about this also in a few seconds. I think what sticks out to me is that equality is important to each and everyone. And I have always been very much engaged on diversity, and not only gender diversity, but diversity in general. And I think the beauty I have now is that I can live this naturally without asking for additional time to organize these type of projects. And therefore, I'm very excited that, I had the chance to, let's say, support Vanessa on the Bring Women Back to Work program in Switzerland, right? I think that's a fantastic initiative to help women, re-enter the business life after a break, whatever the break was. And it is also something which really buys into the talent ecosystem. How do we build a talent ecosystem on a broader scale? Because we all need to become talent magnets in our day-to-day life. So I just would like to highlight that, and I'm sure we have also some other guests who'd like to get introduced as well, Ralph. I speak too much. I'm sorry.
That was a friendly reminder, Joachim. It's simply that I had the privilege working together with Petra, and this was the opportunity to catch up a bit of the long time not seen. We know each other since you have taken the role of the managing director in Germany, which is ages ago, and you followed Peter Steidl, which I knew as well at that time. And since then, it is fascinating to see how Salesforce is developing. Can you please, Joachim, tell us a bit about your business life and your roles on the journey in Salesforce, and what is your project of heart in Salesforce?
Look, compared to what Petra just said, my history is pretty boring. I joined Salesforce 15 years ago. I don't remember what I've done before. And since then, I'm managing Germany. Yeah, so joined 15 years ago, and growing Salesforce. At the one thing is a project of my heart. Seeing how this company grows, how we become a destiny company. Salesforce itself is a company that is, as you said, a magnet for talents.
Yeah.
And it's such a pleasure to work with so many talents that we have hired. By now, we are by far here in Germany and Petra is adding more people in Switzerland, quite a 4-digit size company of employees. And developing the people and developing the company here in Germany is a project of my heart on its own. Back to my history, I'm a kid of IT. I learned programming. I'm an MVS system programmer. For those that are old enough to know that MVS was a very popular operating system one day for large companies.
Yeah.
And I probably raise my market value when I'm telling that I still can code COBOL and Tier 1.
You're hired.
But look, the combination, and as Petra said, yeah, it's the combination. It is working for a company that is a magnet for talent, and you have the pleasure of working with all those high talented people. And on the other side, and I joined from a security company. And if you work in a security space, you're not talking to happy customers. If you're in a security space, customers always have a problem, and you're part of the problem. And then I joined Salesforce, and I met happy customers, customers that wanted to meet me, customers that wanted to exchange, customers that asked me for my trusted advice, customers that are happy to be a reference. So the combination of being a magnet for talents, working with customers that like to do business with us, that see us as an enabler of their business, is a project of my heart on its own. And then it comes to our other twin, Salesforce.org, where 1% of time, 1% of equity, and 1% of products from Salesforce.com is being used to support other foundations. And we can focus, as you said, 7 days each year on giving back. And as Mark said, we do see our platform as the biggest opportunity for change. Business is the opportunity to drive the change. So we can do both. We can do good and we can do well. And that's where Salesforce is an amazing place. And I'm inviting everybody here to either become a Salesforce employee or a Salesforce customer to be part of what we call our culture, the Ohana, the family.
So the
It's
Ohana
Hawaiian,
also is the Ohana also the secret to attracting talent? Or what's the secret to becoming that much of a talent magnet?
I think if you, and we have a definition that says customers, and we have two different kinds of customers. The one customers that pay us and the customers that we pay. And both we want to become ambassador of the brand. Because for if a paying customer is ambassador of the brand, like a fan in a football stadium, they are helping us to sell. It makes it much easier if you don't have to sell because your customers help you to sell. And if your employees are being ambassador of your brand, then hiring is easy because those people talk in the evening when they met their friends and their colleagues. They talk so positively about how great it is to work with Salesforce and that they have the opportunity to give back to the community. And they have the combination of growing business and giving back. And I think that is what makes it special. And as Petra said, we are a company that is not talking about values. We are a company, we walk the talk. We live values. We live them every day. And people feel that we are authentic. So I think that's the secret sauce. Working in a successful company that has real values and customers that like you.
That's cool.
Which quite naturally brings us to the 100 million trees, actually. So what's that about?
Actually, I think it's a billion trees, and that's what Mark has in mind. Make it a billion trees somewhere.
The article
and
that
each of us,
limited to 12 months, and then only 100 million trees.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's 100 million, but
a whole bunch of trees.
Lots of trees. Yeah.
And as Mark said, the business is the platform for change. We have the power to make maybe a better or at least future that is as good as what we have today. And there's a couple of things that we need to take care of. And I think education and sustainability and equality are on top of our mind when it comes to improving the state of the world. Yeah, we need trees, we need sustainability. We are a net zero company, and 1 billion trees or 100 million trees is a worldwide project. And we here in Germany, and as Petra has the program bringing women back to work, we have a program here around 1 million trees together with Vanessa Weber in Aschaffenburg, where we have the target for the next 10 years to plant 1 million trees in Germany.
Wow.
So that's the nice situation at Salesforce. You can pick something that really fits into your ecosystem. And where you're passionate about it.
And fitting into the ecosystem is something that's worth talking a little bit more about, I think. Many, if not most, large companies today have some sort of give back effort. Salesforce was not the first company to do it, but they are almost certainly the one that does it best, or at least most visibly. How can an organization follow suit? How can you build that level of philanthropy into a corporation?
That's a hard question.
No, it's not a hard question. I was just waiting whether Petra wanted to start to answer or whether I should do. And honestly, it is easy. It is super, super easy. Just start. Just start doing something. Yeah. And look,
Don't look
I
at
don't
the
have
big.
I don't have the numbers. I don't have the numbers in mind, how much money we spent and how much time we invested. But we started when we were small.
Yeah.
And yeah, 1% of almost nothing, it seems to be affordable. You never have that 1% available. Yeah. You always have different things that you want to invest or use the time. But we started from day one. Salesforce.org was founded on the same date as Salesforce.com. Yeah, it was in the very beginning. And over the time, we also founded 111 Pledge in order to get other companies to join us on that 111 principle. And companies can start. You just need to start. You not just need to do something. Start small. Do something. And every single woman and every single man can do something. Yeah, like Petra has taken the opportunity and say, I'm in charge of bringing more women back to work than normally would go. And so everyone at Salesforce has taken an opportunity to bring a hard project a step further. And you already start when you go and grab your bread at the bakery with a bike instead of a car. So start small, do it, practice it, continue.
That is an excellent, let's say, point to show. If Thomas could help me out here, the Team Earth teaser video I found really cool, which you have done as Salesforce for Team Earth. And Thomas, if you could start it and share it with us, that would be nice.
Ooh, movie night.
Star Wars.
The new frontier. It's not time to escape. It's time to engage. It's time to plant more trees. It's time to build more trust. Time to make more space for all of us. So while the others look to the metaverse and Mars, let's stay here and restore ours. Yeah, it's time to blaze our trail. Because the new frontier, it ain't rocket science. It's right here.
Cool. I get, honestly, I get, I don't know the right explanation in English, Gänsehaut, because
Gooskin.
yeah, thank you, Petra, thank you. That is really touching, and it has so much as a message where my kids started utilizing a browser, which with the browser is going, if you browse with that browser, Ecosia, you plant a tree. They utilize a credit card from a company which is not giving any freebies, but they do social commitment, community-driven projects, and they invest. And this brings us to the fantastic opportunity. How do you select the projects where people get your support in, or are your employees choosing projects of their heart, or how is the process working? Out of curiosity.
Maybe I start and then Joachim, you add. So I can give you a very recent example. It's actually, we have defined, I mean, first of all, it's alongside the values, right, of Salesforce. So it, equality, was, let's say, the value which guided us to bring women back to work. But beyond that, I think the way we do it's very much focus on operationalize the values we have. What does that mean? We are going to have a workshop on March 2nd in Switzerland, where we are going to work with people who has raised a hand, who have volunteered to become part of the new, let's say, giving back initiatives, right? So we're going to do a workshop with the people who are interested in contributing to this, to the Swiss ecosystem, to the social life, to sustainability, right? So that's the way we do it. And then, we prioritize that in a democratic way, So, and we have multiple ideas, which we are using potentially across the Swiss organization. But of course, each and every one, if you want to engage for the fire workers, for example, you're happy to do so, right? It's not like we dictate what people should be doing. There is something like 1, 2, 3 initiatives which are across the country, and people can join. But if you don't want to join them, you're also still free to join other initiatives where you feel more comfortable with, right? That's the way we are doing it in Switzerland. Joachim?
A very similar approach here in Germany. Once again, for the whole company, everyone can take the decision how to use the 7 days. But we also found out that in order to make relevance, we better give some advice and help. So alignment is a big thing within Salesforce, and we're using our own method to align Salesforce. Both Salesforce.com for the commercial thing, we need to align 75,000 people to act like one company. We need to focus. We have learned we are strong when we are focusing. And on the other side, the same thing we need to align on the giving back situation. So we're using that process, and this process called V2Mom, and we can have maybe another session in a couple of weeks talking about V2Mom and how to align so many people in the short term. But what we're just doing is we're sitting as a team and discussing what is important to our region. And as the US has a high impact or a high focus on veterans, good luck, we don't have too many veterans in Germany anymore. So we decided that we are going into different directions. And we choose education because I believe we need to invest heavily into education and making sure that everybody understands digitalization is the future. It's a job that everybody can have. It is not that you need to be a doctor to become an expert in digitalization. It's an easy job for you and me, for everybody. We need to attract talents. So education is on top of my mind. And part of education is probably also Petra's bringing women back to work. Get to the big amount of resources that are available and give them a new, well-paid, funny job. And second thing we decided is it has to be with sustainability. We want to make sure that we pass, and I'm a father of 4, that I pass the world to my kids in a proper environment. And basically, as 3 of those 4 are females, respect and the equality. And I don't like to use the word equality too much because it translates bad into German. People don't want to be treated equally. They want to be treated with respect, with the package they bring, with the color, the culture, the experience. Respect everyone, and paying the same thing for the same job is respectful. Yeah. So I prefer to use respect instead of equality. These are the 3 things that we are framing for the German employees and say, make sure that we stay, in order to make it relevant, we stay in that umbrella.
So people can simply go in these meetings and suggest that they would like to do something in digital transformation project, and that they would like to interview kids or do something, because you have these interview series with kids, which you explained them what digital transformation is, which I find very nice and very overwhelming and cool to understand. It reminds me to the broadcast with the mouse, and the elephant, and such in a simple way, it's transforming and explaining things and a method which is very easy to consume, also for grown-ups. Yeah, and I like the way that how it's done. So back to the idea, if I would be an employee from Salesforce, I could go with a suggestion towards my manager, and then there is a decision process. If I can follow that one
No,
plan.
no, it is not a decision process. You take the decision. Yeah.
Oh,
You just
okay.
do it. If you want to do it on your kindergarten, where your
Yeah.
kid's going, then you are okay to do that there. Yeah. We also have programs because a lot of people would like to just, there's a ready program, I join, but I don't have to organize, I don't have to look for. So we're preparing programs. We're starting with kids in the elementary school, yeah, in the age of 8, 9, 10, and educate them on programming. And the funny thing that we see is at that age, IT programming is as interesting for female than for boys.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to the age of 18, when they go and study, somehow we have lost a lot of female talents. So something happens in between elementary school and just before they start to study, that IT and technology is not being supposed to be a good job for females. We need to change that. So that's what Petra is working on. That's what we are working on when it comes to education, making sure that people understand we do hire people that has no academical education. Why should we focus on academical? Yeah, digital is easy. When we
Yeah.
talk about digital, is 0 and 1. That's digital. Yeah. There's no easier job than digital. So
Fair point. Yep.
let's bring people to, let's get talent. So and if you then decide that you want to make a donation, the company will match your donation on top of this 111. So it has an impact on both time and money. And if we then can help also with technology so that we deliver a CRM in order to manage the donation system of a foundation, or we manage who is bringing the young football player to the next tournament. Yeah, so many things that you can use technology for. Yeah, until today there is not a real good app that manage who brings young kids to the game on the weekend. Yeah, it's still probably managed by WhatsApp, if at all.
I thought that's what we had Excel for.
Yeah, but you've seen that Petra has left Microsoft already, so it's time for all of us to leave Microsoft.
Didn't you acquire a corresponding company as well a while ago? But kidding apart, so looking at STEM and girls and digital education, do you think that is kind of regional? Because I ask for personal reasons. So my kids grew up in their first more than half of the year in New Zealand, did a lot of robotics, programming, STEM-like things. Then we went to Germany and it dropped. They lost interest. So to me, this is an indication that this might be regional. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Ooh, difficult question. Difficult question, and I don't want to become someone that has a political
No, we don't want to
opinion,
become political here. No.
Yeah, but I have to agree that if I look to what my kids are getting educated on school, it doesn't look any different to what my education plan was looking centuries ago.
Yes.
Yeah. And you might remember that our Bavarian minister president, Mr. Söder, years ago wanted to have INRI crosses in all schoolrooms. And I was just hoping that these INRI crosses are functional as a router, but they do not.
Okay, so
Yeah?
no.
We
I'm coming more
have
from the side that lots of boys still had interest or gained interest, whereas the girls seem to have lost it.
we have to push strong on digital education in the German education system. Yeah, none of my kids has education around how to behave on social channels.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Not
I think
only
it's important for
behave,
them.
the security issues, which are concerning me to a certain degree.
But let's get back to getting women back into job. This might be kind of similar. So in our pre-talk, I said, we have 3 kids as well. In total, I think my wife stopped working 3 months, if at all, in total for that. So how can we help as companies, as business people that we all are, as well as a society, to not lose this huge pool of talent that cannot afford and will not afford, in quotes, abandoning the kids at their young age for work? I mean, that's the other side of the coin, right?
Look, I think we have, it requires the work of every party engaged, right? Of course, you need to have let's say, the circumstances, you need to build the circumstances where people feel invited to return, even if they, if a woman has given birth recently, returning after 3 months. So there must be a good flexible work environment guaranteed in order to manage both, right? I'm a big believer that the environment defines how many women are going to get back, plus the leadership. For example, I have just recently, one of my managers, she just gave birth to her son, and it was very important to us that, she's coming back, even if it's in 5, 6, whatever months. And we told her that we will find ways to accommodate the business rhythm and the meeting structure and so forth, so that she can really come back to work, right, in her old role. And it's a strong commitment from our side, but it's also a strong commitment from her, right? And fortunately, I think this is the way. You need to be very intentional. What I've learned is, if you see that a woman is going to go into maternity leave, it's important that you as a leader really talk to the woman and make sure that she understands that we will accommodate to, let's say, the circumstances she may work in. I have to admit that's one of the first, that's very important. So flexible work, really a strong support from the leadership, from the top, right, that women should get back to work. And then, of course, it's also, from the government, they need to build the environment that it's easy, to make sure that childcare is a very important topic, and that it's also it's not too costly, right, which is a big issue in Switzerland. It's very costly, for example. So all of this, we need to see what is the structure of our workforce. So for me, for example, it's very important that the women who are pregnant or who are going to give birth and go on maternity, that they know they are desired to come back, and we really want to have them back, right? The other thing is, I have noticed that women, if they come back after maternity, most of them, they're in favor of half-time jobs. Or let's say 70%, 80%.
Yeah.
And I have given clear advice to every woman not to do this, to reduce maximum to 80%, because I have noticed that the ones who got down to 50-60%, or whatever, half time,
Yeah.
they were punished because at the end of the day they were working as much as most of the full-time employees and very effectively. And I have to admit, I'd rather have them working 80% and rearrange on the timing, and we'll find ways to accommodate rather than having them work only 50%. Because to be honest, in most international companies, half-day workers are still an exception, not the rule. And therefore,
True.
I would say it's much more relevant to take a realistic approach, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather have someone working 80% than two people working 50%, because it's almost impossible in the way we are set up, right? So it's much better if you focus on the environment, flexible environment, making adjustments, set the meetings at time where everyone can join, right? Basics. I'm talking basics here. It's nothing new, but it's still not a typical practice in every company, which is a bit of a shock to me that things got better over time, but these circumstances haven't really improved.
And it's important to know for the audience, sorry, Tom, that Switzerland is not as flexible as we had it in Germany, and that the cost for childcare are extremely expensive in Switzerland, as I have lived there as well for several years. And maternity leave was not known at that time when I worked there. And it was simply for health reasons, the 3 months period, but you haven't had the choice to stay if you wanted to have that choice 2 years at home, and you had somehow a reintegration of the employer. And I found it very compelling that my wife had the opportunity to raise 3 kids and still had the guarantee for her employer, IBM, that she could get back after 10 years in her job, which was unfortunately at that time in Hanover. So that was not a real choice, but the perspective was given. And they tried hard to offer her something adequate here in the Frankfurt region, but it didn't work out at these days. Nowadays, with the technology and with the spirit and the commitment of an organization, then they want to make things happen. That is a real cool story. Tom, sorry, I interrupted you.
I'm trying it from the other angle again. So in my experiences, and I've had a few people that I led as well, some of them, not enough of them women, but those women, especially those who became mothers and wanted to return early / at a high percentage of work time again, they used to be quite ambitious. Which means they actually got systematically extorted almost. Yeah, so they delivered as much as before in less time for less salary, which goes into the figure that you mentioned before as well. How do you actually contribute to protecting them from themselves, actually, because they also do want to do that often.
Yeah, first of all, on your on the second point, equal pay is something we have been very outspoken about, right? And we have really made clear that we have an equal pay at Salesforce, which I think is very good. So there is no differentiation. And so that's one thing. The other thing is, of course, it goes, the women who are very ambitious and, if they work harder and they have their kids and so forth, you have to be very mindful, right, on how you lead them, right? So that's one of the reasons why I said I have observed in my career that the women who came back and actually worked were very ambitious, as you said, but then they wanted to work 50%, but they actually contributed for 80 or more percent, right?
Yep.
So one of
And
the
got paid
reasons
for
why I
50%.
protected them, I got them paid for 80%, right?
Mm.
If not 100%,
Mm.
and we still had the flexibility. I think it goes to the same, like for every employee. We have to think of how can we create an environment that people are encouraged to do their work, but also can step back if they feel exhausted. And this is no difference for me for men and women, because today, in our today's world, I would say it's extremely important to pay attention to well-being and to have, I don't like the word work-life balance, but call it well-being, that people can really, find barriers between their professional and their private lives.
Yeah.
Joachim, what do you
Yeah,
think?
and let me add something, because I believe if there's anything good in the last 24 months of pandemic, it shows
Yeah.
us that location is not important to work for a modern company. And especially here for Salesforce, as we are a cloud company, we can offer, and every company that works digital in a cloud can offer most flexible business conditions. You can, and as Petra, I don't like the word work-life balance. I use work-life integration, because with technology, I can take the decision whether I work or I have free time or family time, or every 10 minutes. Yeah, on my smartphone, I have all of the private data. I have all of the business data. I can do 10 minutes work. I can do, and I can combine flexible work times, even being a parent in leave. Yeah, kids might be in the kindergarten, and I can take my education to become a digital Salesforce expert on Trailhead. We offer free education for everyone to become a Salesforce expert. You can take that education from anywhere in the world. You just need a browser. Then you get your certification. It's not the typical German thing. You need to study and you get your stamp, and only then you are certified. No, you can get that certification on self-instruction anywhere in the world, anytime. So location is not important. When you do your work in the cloud, it's not really important. You probably have a deadline. You need to deliver something until, but when you do, where you do, I think the biggest advantage of the pandemic, and also the biggest deliverer of new talents for us, new talent pools, was the understanding that we can go for very different talent pool. Yeah. We don't need to have an office in the town to get people to work. They can work from anywhere, and they can take a decision on working in the morning, working in the evening, working. Some of them work in the night. Yeah, and we have seen employees moving their house to a nicer location and working from the Mediterranean Sea. So I think that is a huge opportunity.
And it's a strong statement your founder made a lot of years ago already, when he showed up his iPhone and said, I'm managing my company with that instrument here. Just that. I only need my phone, nothing more. And I do it. Why don't you do it? And I found this extremely strong. When Mark was wandering around through that audience and showing up his phone and making a presentation in bits and pieces out of what was ready at that Salesforce One at that time, I was impressed. And I was very curious, and I found out that the trailblazing opportunity is something really cool, where you invested and showed that you have the experts to deliver educational programs on dedicated topics which are combined to knowledge for your software, but you have already a lot of general topics, such as what is CRM, and to be aware of sustainability and all these programs, which have nothing in the first row to do with what Salesforce is doing, as a software delivering company. I found that very interesting as well. At a very cool level.
I have to admit, Joachim is also the person managing everything via his mobile.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have never seen Joachim with a laptop. I have only seen him with his phone.
And I call my phone, it's the remote control of my life. Yeah.
So you are living the digital headquarters story.
Yes, we do. And we don't have an option. Remember when we started 15 years in Germany, we were 10. SAP was huge at the time. And the only chance to win market share was being smarter, being faster, being a team, being available every time, and act. Yeah. And we have kept this speed. We have kept the collaboration, and we can take decisions. Petra can take decisions. I can take decisions anywhere, anytime, because we have all information on the fingertip.
That is cool.
In how far you said it's the remote control of your life, so now that can be understood in two ways. It remotely controls your life, or you control your life remotely with it. So,
we're in Germany, and security and privacy is a hot topic over here. What I'm saying is it allows me to make quality use of my time.
Okay.
Yeah. In former days, when on the weekend, and there was a problem with IT systems, you got called. You needed to go to the computer center. You left your family. You didn't return in 10 hours. Yeah. Today, I can have that approval process with the left hand while still drinking a beer with the right.
Yeah. Now
but what if you want to get away from your family for 10 hours? Sometimes too much is too much.
You could be my wife, probably. Yeah, you would take the same story. Yeah,
take me out to dinner first.
And yeah, but I'm just talking about having data available in the detail that I need. I have the private contacts. I have the telephone numbers. I have the pictures of my private life. I have my sports applications and I'm looking sports. I can do Netflix and Prime on that phone. At the same time, I can manage my customer data. I can have quality discussion with one of my sales reps about the pipeline, and I can have a qualified discussion with one of the employees about reaching the goals. Where are we? How do we perform? How can I help? All the data, everything around enablement is on my fingertip, and I'm using that opportunity. I might be too much working with American companies to understand that every risk can also be seen as an opportunity. Still enough German to understand when an opportunity becomes a risk, but I'll take it first as an opportunity, yeah, and I don't feel controlled, but I feel I am in control.
That's probably the key word here, or the key as such, because having the opportunity also can make you use this opportunity to basically work 24/7. Piece of advice to the audience: so how do you control that urge to just continue working when you shouldn't?
I've developed myself a very strict set of rules. Yeah, I wake up pretty early in the morning, and I have kind of 30, maybe 45 minutes where I watch all the things that came over the ocean overnight and get rid of all these information overflow that my American friends sent over. Yeah, so I have a clean start in the morning. Then I'll take time with the family for breakfast and yeah, socializing and stuff. And then after breakfast, we start working again. And I'm making sure that I have dinner with the family. I'm not taking appointments, 99%, between this time period when I'm having dinner with the family. I'm
Okay.
trying to don't send emails to employees on the weekend or late in the night because I know that if I'm sending emails or WhatsApp or at that
Yeah.
time, people feel under pressure to answer. So I'm not sending that. So it is seeing it as an opportunity is always giving you the choice. Yeah. If you come to the point that you see it as an opportunity, you always have the choice to do it or not. And that's something that I think everybody should develop to the point saying, I have the opportunity. If I use it, it's my choice.
Yeah. And I would like to ask the same interesting question to Petra. What is your experience on having the choice?
Yeah, I think these times are actually important that you are really reflecting how you would like to orchestrate your life, right? So, as Joachim said, he had his family breaks. I also do this family break. I take time to walk sometimes. I also changed. If I have a day with, let's say, calls only or video conferences, I pick 1 or 2 calls where I'm going to walk, right, during the day. The other thing is I am also made it very clear to my team, if I send them, let's say, a mail or a Slack post later on in the evening, they are not obliged to respond, right? They are not obliged to respond. That's important, right? If it's urgent, I would give them a call, and this is very rarely the case. If there is a customer situation or so forth. So what I would like to say is define the rules with your employees on how you would like to be reached and how you would like to reach them. So then all the misunderstandings will disappear. And then the other thing is you need to set your own boundaries when you want to work and how you work. And that's also something you need to be very open about it and discuss it, or not discuss it, but tell your team, how you work, because then they know when, for example, if you call them up, it's something urgent, or if you just send them a post, we're going to do it, whenever they are back to work, right? Yeah.
Coming to a closure, because we are almost on top of the hour. Doing it the other way around, not ladies first, but gents first this time. Joachim, your next steps for your project of passion that you mentioned a couple of times today. So what are your next objectives that you can mention? You need to unmute.
Cool.
At least after you came through the sensitive stuff, you need to unmute.
Yes, I do. Sorry for falling into the trap like everyone. I think this is the most used word. Can you hear me? No, you're still on mute. Can you see my screen? I shared that 1 million tree that we want to plant here in Germany. In 10 years, that means 100,000 trees this year. So we need to do a lot of projects in order to get those 100,000 trees funded. So whoever want to help, more than welcome. We have official sites that can support us. I definitely will, again, this year have a large bike tour where we are biking for trees.
Okay.
We crossed the Alps last year, and we haven't made the decision what we done doing this year, but we will bike for trees. And on top of education, we will always invest into education. Yeah, this is so important that we make Germany again an IP-based country, a knowledge-based country. Yeah, we have been known for quality because we have produced good engineers. Now we need to produce good entrepreneurs, and that needs to be a change. And we need to give people control of their future. So that is my passion for this year, and probably continue to hire, let's say, 2 person per day.
Cool.
That's ambitious.
Petra.
Petra.
No,
Yes.
that's a quota.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I just make it short. What I really enjoyed at the Salesforce Ohana is the vision of, business is the greatest platform for change. I'm a big believer in this. I think we haven't utilized it to the maximum. And I'm personally very passionate about leadership and about people and people development and diversity. So I will continue driving this. And it is something which is very close to my heart because I believe there's much more we can do. And that's for sure something I'm going to continue to be personally engaged and drive the change which is needed in Switzerland, but also beyond Switzerland. Thank you.
Cool.
Perfect.
Excellent.
These are great last words. Well, at least for today, not for eternity. So thanks for both of you to be here. Thanks of the still existing audience that is still here. We are going backstage now. And well, the audience will meet next week.